Our guest today is the Executive Director of the Illinois Finance Authority. The Illinois Finance Authority provides hands-on support to help Illinois businesses get the capital they need to grow. He earned his undergraduate degree at DePaul's College of Arts and Sciences and his law degree at the University of Illinois. Our guest today and his wife Connie and their 4 beautiful children live in Oak Park, Illinois. Ladies and gentlemen, the Executive Director of the Illinois Finance Authority, Chris Meister. Christopher? All right.
Thank you.
Have fun up here.
All right. Thanks, Jay. I really appreciate it. Again, I do want to recognize my wife, Connie, and she did break 3 of my 4 kids out of school. Connie. And Jake, David, and Joya, stand up. And since it was a family affair, I have my parents, Dick and Joan Meister, my sister, Erica, my brother, John, and my in-laws, Carrie and Barrett. So thank you very much. Also, you missed a couple of elected officials. We've got John Phelan, the president of the District 200 School Board, Alderman Joe Moore, there are 3 other, but also Sandy Goldman is on the board of the Illinois Medical District Commission. Sandy. And of course, there are 3 very special people to my life because there are 3 of my 15 bosses. We have Mayor Barrett Peterson, Mayor of Franklin Park. We have Gila Bronner, who is chairman of our audit committee at the IFA. And we have Jim Fuentes, who's chairman of the Venture Capital Committee. So thank you, Jim. Unless you've been under a rock over the last couple of weeks, you know all about First Lady Michelle Obama, what she's been up to. She's promoting her campaign to get kids and the rest of us off of our butts and get active. Now, Mrs. Obama is making this plea because the fastest growing health threat to our kids is obesity. And as we all know, kids don't burn calories playing Xbox or Instagramming their friends. And the same is true for many of us who are compulsive smartphone users. Michelle Obama's newest pitch is to get kids to drink water. And she traveled to Watertown, Wisconsin a couple of weeks ago to make this point. And if our kids choose water over high-calorie soft drinks, they will greatly reduce their risk for obesity and diseases like diabetes. And the message is simple, and it's a sensible way of maintaining good health, provided that the water is clean and free of harmful chemicals. Now, ensuring that there is clean and healthy water coming from that kitchen or bathroom tap is the centerpiece of a program initiated by Governor Pat Quinn and brought to life by the Illinois Finance Authority and our partners at the Illinois Environmental Protection Agency, Director Lisa Bonnet. You see, many of the water and sewer systems in our state are more than a century old. And in some places, water still flows through hollowed-out tree trunks. Now, Governor Quinn is working to change all that. He brought me together with my colleague, Lisa Bonnet, to create the Clean Water Initiative. And this program dramatically expands the amount of low-cost, low-interest loan financing available to local governments across our state, and to use this financing to replace old systems at no cost to the state taxpayers. And under the leadership of Governor Pat Quinn, the IFA, together with IEPA, the Illinois Department of Commerce and Economic Opportunity, and partners like the Metropolitan Water Reclamation District and local governments across the state, We have put tremendous time and energy into this initiative, and through it, we hope to keep our drinking water safe, clean up wastewater before it is discharged into Illinois waterways, address stormwater issues, decrease energy costs, and create green jobs across our state. This program has only been in place just over a year, but the progress that we have seen is extraordinary. Take, for example, the city of Pekin, Illinois, a town that had one of the most outdated wastewater treatment facilities around, particularly a problem since it's located on the Illinois River. Governor Quinn awarded a $4.8 million low-interest loan to fix their facilities. Another example is the city of Chicago. The governor, working with Mayor Emanuel and Water Commissioner Tom Powers, awarded $40 million in low-interest loans through the Clean Water Initiative. And this has been used by the city to replace miles of outdated water pipes. And while we expect more loans through the Clean Water Initiative to the city of Chicago, this example in particular shows how much money can be saved for Chicago taxpayers. We estimate that over the next 20 years, Governor Quinn's Clean Water Initiative on this set of $40 million loans will save more than $14 million. This initiative has also provided similar benefits to Kankakee and Macon County, the Rockford area, and the communities across Cook County that are served by the Metropolitan Water Reclamation District. And the program continues to grow. These loans are helping taxpayers across our state avoid expensive emergency repairs. And how is this all possible? The IFA is working to pool federal and state funds and leverage this pot of money into a fund of more than $1 billion in low-cost loans. And this program is a great example of better living made possible through financing. It is self-sustainable, and it shows that here in Illinois, we can do more with less. This initiative, at this point, does not use 1 cent of state funds, and it frees up scarce state tax dollars to go to schools and other important needs. And it has no impact on the state's general obligation bond rating. These bonds are going to be rated separately. And revenues generated from the loan repayments can be used to meet both the original state match requirement required by the feds, and rather than using scarce state capital dollars. The Clean Water Initiative is projected to support more than 28,000 jobs across our state. And according to US EPA, the total water infrastructure needs in our state over the next couple of decades is more than $35 billion. And Illinois ranks among the highest in the nation in needs for new water infrastructure. These projects help improve the quality of life for people across our state and will support and improve the business climate for many years to come. But we know our job is not done. You might remember this. A large sinkhole opened up at 96th and Houston on Chicago's southeast side back in April. The sinkhole was the result of a broken 8-inch water pipe that dated back to 1915 during the First World War. I don't think anyone would argue that this neighborhood could have benefited from funding to repair this old pipe before it sucked 3 cars down into a 40-foot wide sinkhole. But in order for the Clean Water Initiative to meet its objectives and maximize its impact for the people of Illinois, we need local governments and sanitary districts across our state to apply to the Illinois Environmental Protection Agency for financing. Can your community afford to wait for dollars that you need today to update your aging water infrastructure? I encourage all local government officials in this room to go to cleanwater.illinois.gov and learn more and apply. Governor Quinn's Clean Water Initiative is just one example of the effectiveness of the Illinois Finance Authority. Now, the IFA was created back in 2004 when the Illinois General Assembly consolidated 7 agencies into one. We are an independent state agency that operates without any taxpayer dollars, and we are the primary delivery system for federal tax benefits that support low-cost financing of capital projects for qualified borrowers, like nonprofit hospitals, nonprofit higher education, mid-sized manufacturing companies, and farmers. And at this point, I'd like the staff of the Illinois Finance Authority to stand, because without all of you and your commitment, our work could not be possible. The Illinois Finance Authority is our state's infrastructure bank. We issue tax-exempt bonds so the financing is less expensive for the borrower and repayment can stretch over a period of decades. Now, the bonds are sold to private investors or purchased by the borrower's bank. And we've succeeded in becoming the most sought-after financing partner in our state and in our region. We operate with complete transparency, and our board reports and meeting documents and other materials are available on our website for public viewing. Now, we're also highly efficient, and we're governed by a 15-person volunteer board. I want to underscore volunteer. Thank you, Gila and Jim and Mayor Peterson. And we're chaired by Bill Brandt, one of my mentors, who has been in many ways the ideal leader for our agency during these troubled economic times. Our board is appointed by the governor, confirmed by the state senate, and our board members are farmers and engineers, lawyers, accountants, business people, appraisers, local government officials, and union leaders, and they come from across the state. In January, the Illinois Finance Authority will celebrate our 10th birthday. And despite being less than a decade old, we've accomplished a lot. The IFA has issued more than $20 billion in bonds on behalf of borrowers. And these bonds have created or helped create tens of thousands of jobs for Illinoisans. Our programs have touched nearly every county in the state. We have bond and loan guarantee programs designed to help family farmers and agribusiness. And as you can see from the map, we have provided access to low-cost capital to help grow and sustain the farm economy, working in 69 out of 102 counties. And since the last time I was here, we've financed many exciting, groundbreaking projects, like our work in Will County with Kuzakowski, a leading international electronic recycling services company. And based on Chicago's West Side, Alderman Deborah Graham is here of the 29th Ward. Deborah, stand up. The West Side is the best side, Deborah. Friedman Seating Company is another example of our recent work. They're a manufacturer of upholstered seating used in commercial trucks and CTA buses. And they got their start in the last century working on horse-drawn carriages. The Illinois Finance Authority provided financing to purchase and renovate an old Motorola facility on West Augusta Boulevard, where there are now nearly 600 workers. And it's great to see manufacturing jobs coming back to the United States. We're happy to play a small role in that. Another exciting project, Center Point Joliet Rail Terminal, included the land acquisition and construction financed by IFA bonds. This is an incredible 4,000-acre site, and it's expected to bring more than 23,000 jobs to our state. We've also worked with the Rehabilitation Institute of Chicago to provide tax-exempt financing to help build their new state-of-the-art Ability Center in Streeterville. OSF Health System is based in Peoria and provides healthcare services across the state. And we've worked with OSF on numerous projects, including the restructuring of previous bonds to save them money and to help fund a new birthing center in Bloomington, Illinois. Ours is an agency that provides a real value proposition for our borrowers and for lenders and for the public at large. But one of our most significant challenges today is the talk in Washington around the reform of the federal tax code. And some of those proposals involve potentially eliminating tax exemption, both for conduit borrowers and for state and local governments. This would be a grave mistake that would hurt the national and the state economy. And in my experience, tax exemption provides certainty and predictability for both borrowers and lenders. An example of how tax exemption can be improved to meet today's needs, the needs of the 21st century, is the proposed American Manufacturing Bond Finance Act. And this is one program that could help bring manufacturing jobs and investment back from China to Illinois. Industrial revenue bonds have not been updated since the mid-1980s, and modernizing this program is critical. I urge our federal delegation to join the Illinois Manufacturers Association and the IFA in supporting the proposed Manufacturing Bond Finance Act in Congress. Local banks such as First American, led by John Ward over there in the corner. John, raise your hand. Know the importance of tax-exempt financing in helping our mid-sized manufacturers in our state. Now, at the IFA, we have a public mission, and it is to provide capital to those who need it the most, including children with deferred action for childhood arrival, or DACA, immigration status. This is a program that was the brainchild of our visionary chairman, Bill Brandt, and it mirrors some of the same principles of the proposed DREAM Act. With the support from Senator Durbin, we recently launched a unique program targeting medical and dental students with DACA status in exchange for low-interest loans through their medical school and the IFA. These DACA students will agree to serve in medically underserved Illinois communities after they become a doctor or a dentist. Loyola University's Stritch School of Medicine is the first medical school in our state that's on board for this exciting program, and we hope that other medical and dental schools will follow their example. And I'd like to give a special note of thank you to Dr. Mark Kashevsky of the Stritch School, who has led this effort on behalf of Loyola. Dr. Kashevsky. Another important program that I'm proud to be a part of is the Small Contractor Bridge Program. Some months ago, State Senator Matty Hunter came to the IFA and asked us to help develop a program to provide operating capital loans to emerging businesses who are seeking to participate in state construction contracts. And together with Governor Quinn, the Illinois General Assembly, the Chicago Community Loan Fund, IDOT, the Tollway, and other state agencies, we now have this loan program in place that can help small contractors, including disadvantaged minority and women-owned businesses, to obtain state construction work. So, where do we go from here? Dare I say that we should look to our neighbors in the north, in Canada. Infrastructure Ontario is an agency that offers one-stop shopping for local communities to build schools and other public works as well as hospitals. It has financing capabilities like the IFA, but it also has construction, design, property management functions along with procurement. And it can use public employee pension funds to help finance its public projects. Now that is creativity and innovation at its finance, and we should think about following that example here in Illinois. Now, I've talked a lot about the success of the IFA, and I don't say all of this to brag, though the IFA does have a great story to tell. But I now ask for your indulgence to give credit to some Illinois leaders who have impacted all of our lives, and mine in particular. They've been critical to shaping our region and our state. And they are my champions of public service in Illinois government. Now, when I was last here at the City Club, I was fortunate to have a couple of these folks here. One of my first bosses, the late Senator Vince DeMuzio, the late Comptroller and Senator Dawn Clark Netsch, the late Supreme Court Justice Mary Ann McMurrow. But I also want to recognize someone who was at my last City Club speech, and his family is here with us today, but he was unable to make the speech today. Former Illinois Senate President Phil Rock and his wife Sheila J. Colleen are here, and Megan. Now, I would also like to recognize somebody else. Jack Lavin, who's here at the front table, has been a friend and colleague and boss of mine for nearly a decade. And I really appreciate his friendship and his mentorship. So, Jack, the people of the state of Illinois are unhappy to see you go, but best of luck in the new chapter of your life in what I hope to be rewarding private service. And I think it's up to all of us in positions of leadership to pass on to future generations what my mentors have taught me, that we must not operate in silos, that we must always learn and grow and teach others, that we operate with transparency and accountability and integrity. And as members of the City Club, we meet here weekly, sometimes more, because we care about public policy and our state and our city and making it better. And we're deeply invested in the future of our state, our city, and our region. Our lives are rooted here, our families live here, and our mentors are here among us. And our future is here, and I hope to work with all of you in this room to make our future here in Illinois better. Thank you. Oh, yeah. Thank you. I think that we also need to recognize Director Malcolm Weems of Central Management Services. Stand up, Malcolm.
Fine job.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chris. Questions? Please forward them up front. Do we have somebody collecting questions? All right.
I don't know. Yeah. This
Well,
could be very easy.
It could be very easy, and you still get your mug. Okay. All right, we'll start out with a couple that I have here. From Joyce Saxon. Raise your hand, Joyce. Member of the Board of Governors of the City Club of Chicago. How are your positions funded?
Great question, Joyce. When the General Assembly consolidated the Illinois Finance Authority, some of these previous agencies were actually funded by appropriated state general revenue funds. And so when it was set up in '04, the vision is that we would support ourselves and that we would support our operations without tax dollars. The way that we do this is that we charge borrowers when they issue bonds through us for the privilege of issuing bonds with federal tax exemption, which leads to a federally tax-free income stream for lenders and bondholders, and also generally reduces the rate of interest for the borrowers. It's a very important yet underappreciated and very effective means of encouraging infrastructure investment and economic development across the country. It also saves state and local taxpayers a lot of money, because if this was to go away, the extra cost would be downloaded onto state and local taxpayers. Yes, we have. Yes, there is a formula. We have a price sheet that for dependent on the sector that the borrower is coming from and the size of the borrowing, and it's a sliding scale. In many cases, there's a long-term responsibility, and many borrowers come back with some frequency. Some of these changes to their bond issue can be dealt with through action delegated by the board to staff, and some of it requires board action.
Thank you for that. Graham Grady, Shefsky and Freilich, you represent the best in good government.
Thanks, Graham.
When? No, second part. When are you going to run for public office?
Graham, I'm more of a behind-the-scenes kind of guy. I think that my wife will agree with me on that. She's seated right next to you.
A most gracious answer. Okay. Abby from the Metropolitan Planning Council. Wave. To what extent are IFA and IEPA working to streamline the application process and work with other agencies such as IDNR, IDPH, DCEO, etc., to prioritize the CWI funds strategically?
Excellent question, one that I would have expected from Mary Sue Barrett's organization. Thank you. It's a great question because, and again, I want to recognize my partner in this, Director Lisa Bonnet of IEPA, because this Clean Water Initiative is really very important, but it's been an underutilized tool that the collective we in Illinois have allowed to sit on a shelf for nearly a decade. And Lisa and I started working on this some months ago after the governor told us that we really needed to come up with a $1 billion financing project to help cash-strapped Illinois communities. And so what Lisa has taken the lead on and has been very effective is looking at basic ways that the program can be streamlined. I think the most important is that we have a rolling application process right now. So it used to be that there would be some date in the fall and local governments would fill out their application. And so if they had a $5 project, they would be lucky to get $1. And again, these are serious applications, and they take a lot of time, and frankly, they take a great deal of commitment on the part of the local governments. The local governments, who again are cash-strapped, they need to free up their city manager, they need to free up their contract engineer, their finance and treasury people. It's an extensive process. They need to come up with a revenue stream, because again, these are loans, the lowest interest loans that a local government is likely to get, but they still are loans. They're not grants, and they need to be paid back. So Lisa, I think, has been very effective in, under Governor Quinn's direction, in leading her staff to streamline this, make the process more user-friendly, more easier, faster. The most important thing that I think that she's exploring right now, and I'm going to speak on your behalf, Lisa, is that as this program grew up over time, there was never enough capacity. There were never enough dollars for the communities that needed them at the level that they needed them. So the current capacity without the Clean Water Initiative is roughly about $300 million. And working through the governor's Clean Water Initiative, we expect that the capacity will be well over $1 billion. But one of the things that happens in any government when you don't have enough resources for a particular program is that you sort of start to tap down eligibility a little bit. And one thing that Lisa is working on that we're very excited about, and I suspect MPEA is too, is to make stormwater projects eligible for these low-cost funds. That's a big challenge to our region, and it helps stop flooding before it becomes a problem. So those are a couple of the examples of what we're working towards. And again, this is going to be a work in progress, and Lisa and I intend that the Clean Water Initiative will go on providing lowest possible cost financing to Illinois communities for clean water and sewer projects many years to come, into the coming decades. And we're very excited about this. So we've been spending a lot of time, our staffs, I think, have been spending more time coming up with ways that we will never again have a tool as potent as this program sit on the shelf for a decade, because it's going to make everybody's lives better, and it's going to do so at a very low cost to local taxpayers.
Okay, we have one more question from Jordan Stark, Resolute. Have you seen a demand from the private sector for infrastructure projects? What type of projects have the most appeal for private investors?
Thanks, Jordan. Again, one of my favorite topics, infrastructure. But I think sometimes in addressing infrastructure, we need to look at the tools that we already have in our toolbox. And one of the reasons why I told all of you that we are the state's infrastructure bank is we are funding infrastructure. We're funding infrastructure for nonprofit hospital systems like Advocate and North Shore University and Rush and University of Chicago and Northwestern. We're also funding nonprofit institutions of higher learning like DePaul and St. Xavier and Bradley and Loyola. And I think a great example was the Centerpoint project that I mentioned. That is a special allocation of tax-exempt authority for logistics and transportation-based infrastructure. Centerpoint took the initiative, went to the U.S. Department of Transportation, received an allocation, and we've been fortunate enough to be able to issue these bonds. The great thing about tax exemption is that the value of the tax exemption is the delta between the tax exempt rate, what the company could get going into its bank or its lender, and tax-exempt rates, which are generally lower. That is what conduit on behalf of financing actually means. It does have the very important advantage of being enshrined in the federal tax code so that it is not tied to the annual appropriation process at the state or the federal level. And as a result, lenders can take some confidence that this benefit is going to be there decades into the future and not tied to an annual appropriation process. So again, the short answer is hospitals, colleges, global scale transportation and logistics facilities, mid-sized factories. All of these are examples of the type of infrastructure that we finance through the IFA, along with water infrastructure.
Thank you, Chris. Seeing no further questions, we'd like to thank you very much. And